Good morning. This is Jennifer Tebow, and today is Thursday, May 30th, 2013. It's just under 9 a.m. my time, hailing from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Welcome, everyone. This is my impromptu chat. I haven't jumped in and had some impromptu chats this week, so just get ready because there's like buildup. I can't help it. That's just the way that I am. That's the way that I operate. I was speaking with someone yesterday or 2 days ago rather, on the topic of talent in general. And I started going and I thought, that would be a great opportunity to kind of share some of the things on my brain. I got to get them out so that they don't have this crazy buildup in my head. But I had the really broad question, which is what's really going on with talent? As some of you may know, I work with, in an advisory board capacity, I work with the nonprofit organization North Texas LEAD, LEAD, and that's standing for Leaders and Executives Advocating Diversity. It is a unique nonprofit that really does help corporate member organizations really find diverse talent to fill their growing roles and positions in their own organizations. But it's bigger than that. It's not some nonprofit talent search. It's bigger than that. It is a commitment and a connection that the CEOs are committed at their level, and they meet quarterly to discuss this kind of war on talent, right? And their corresponding HR executives, they also meet and share best practices, recognizing that the best way to win this so-called war on talent is to team up, partner up, and understand better where talent is going. So that's why I love North Texas LEAD. That's like a free commercial for them. But I've been committed to the organization for several years because I really believe in their mission to really help to find, identify talent, what talent really is, and diverse talent as well. So it's a unique dynamic. Unfortunately, North Texas LEAD is not everywhere. I wish that they were. So if you haven't looked them up, definitely go to northtexaslead.org and find them. Tell them Jennifer Tebow sent you. But they're not everywhere. And so because they're not, I recognize there are a lot of places that just don't really understand what's really going on with talent. I've dedicated my scholarly career to learning about talent, learning adult development, adult psychology of learning and growing, and all of those great things. And I've helped quite a few very so-called talented people in their current roles or transitioning into new roles. But I find that those other professionals that are in that same position, that have the same opportunities to identify talent, develop talent, promote talent, the idea of what's really going on with talent sometimes is a bit gray, which is kind of scary to me. It should not be gray if you're in the business of talent. So I will say, yes, it is a tough job. But what I do find, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag early, what I do find is that most HR teams, intact, whole teams, really, while they may name their department talent acquisition, talent development, all these fun, whimsical titles, people department, all of these things, what I still find is that they operate very much in a static state of understanding talent, finding talent, and developing talent. They've not grown. They've not changed. You could look at the way a HR department finds talent today and then take a snapshot of 5 years ago, and I bet your bottom dollar it would look very similar. And it's not because, I will venture to say, it's not always because they're not interested in changing. That's not it. A lot of times is that you don't know what you don't know. You don't understand that that in order to find new, innovative talent, you've got to do new, innovative things to find that talent, including the HR talent that's tasked with finding the new talent. They've got to change. They've got to look at things dramatically differently in order for them to find that innovative talent. The bottom line is HR is designed to be the strategic arm of an organization. When in fact an HR firm decides to not act like the strategic arm of the organization, you know what happens? that's when the organization stops relying on them. And it becomes well, just fill a seat. Just find someone to fill a seat. And everyone accepts the mediocre outcomes. When in fact, HR really could be finding the next president of the organization that's going to take that organization to the next 100 years, no matter what role they're hiring for. How many companies have you heard about? Long-time companies where the president actually started in the mailroom, and you go, wow, that's amazing. Well, how smart was the person that decided to hire that mail administrative staff? How smart were they to actually do that? Well, it has to do with talent and your interest in really seeing the bigger picture and where it goes. So the first question, I asked is, what is talent? And I kind of looked that up. I was curious how talent is defined, and I see exactly where the disconnect is. Talent is defined by many dictionaries as this natural, innate skill that you have within you. And I think that is the perfect definition when you say someone is talented. But the reality is that I don't care who you are, whatever professional role that you have, whether it's a professional athlete or a professional physician, whatever role it is, everyone had this natural skill within them. However, to be truly, at the top of your games, a highly coveted person that everybody wants to hire, you've got to take that natural skill and develop it. It's got to be developed. So, what is very interesting about this idea, they're talented. Well, talented only to me is the entry card into the conversation. Now I need to know, what have you done to sharpen your talent? Because if all you have is this natural talent, that's great. But there's two schools of thought. The school of thought in corporate organizations, you're going to hire one of two ways. You're going to hire for the today person, or you're going to hire for the potential person, right? And there's some roles where it's important to hire for the today person, and some roles it is important to hire for the future person. For the future person, it may be for financial reasons that you can't pay this large sum, so you're willing to hire a person that you believe will develop into this great asset for your organization. Okay, so that's a reason. Another reason is you're not quite sure where the role may go, so you want to hire at a certain level and continue to monitor. There's some HR professionals that say, look, I don't care what you might do in the future. That's kind of a gamble. I want to hire the person that can do the job now. As talented as most physicians are, I venture to say most physicians didn't wake up knowing how to operate on a human being successfully. I'm sure we could all operate, but successfully, different story. Now, they may have some natural instincts to know how to stop the blood and how to do a couple of things, but the intricacies and the practice that it takes for the steady hand and to know all the things you need to, that really goes without saying that you need to hone your skills. I certainly want the physician that's working on me, I want him or her, I would like for them to have practiced and hone their skills. Don't tell me, they got these great natural skills. I don't want natural skills. I want to know that they've already done it. And in that same token, that's where I get to this conversation of talent. We're in these HR organizations, and we're trying to, hire some of the best and the brightest, but people don't necessarily know how to find that. And what I find, and I've had this conversation many times before, is talented people who are really interested in honing their skills, they don't sit still, right? I pride myself on being in that group, okay? There's no shame in my game. I'm in that group on purpose for a reason. I want to continue to hone the skills that I have, which means I talk probably every day on some topic and sharpen my skill of my speech and my mind and my impromptu speaking that I do. That's what talented people do. But what I find the disconnect is we have HR organizations who will penalize a person for being so-called busy. They're too busy. They probably don't have time to consult with me, or they probably don't want to. What? That's the one you want. You don't want the person that's been sitting there with their thumb up there, where. That's not the one you want. What? Because they're naturally talented? So what? You might be naturally talented, but today's stupid because you're not continuing to hone your skill. That would be like hiring a quarterback who was phenomenal in the 80s, but just hasn't done anything. But their arm is probably still great. Would you hire them if they have not done the things they need to do to really be on top of their game today? We've got to start looking at talent differently. And the idea of talent acquisition, I throw that term out the window. That in and of itself is outdated. I think it was appropriate when it came out. But today, you don't want to hire just natural talent. You want to hire people who have proven results, which means not the lip service, but the actual results. I love these first round of interviews that people have, and they see a resume. They may go to people's LinkedIn accounts and all that great stuff. And they make an all-important decision about moving to the next step based on just conversation, based on if you were impressive or not. Never mind that everything the person said may not be true. Never mind that part. There's usually no level of verification that happens. Wouldn't that be, shouldn't we reverse how we select who we're going to talk to? Why bother to talk to someone who's maybe excellent at marketing themselves but still has no results? And that's what happens. You've got very, very good people who don't get the first interview because maybe they just don't know how to write a resume, or they just didn't know to be on LinkedIn and put all of their accomplishments. Maybe they're humble. Shame on them, right? But shame on you, because guess what? Everybody's missing out on really good talent. Really good today kind of results-oriented talent. That's what we miss out on just because of marketing. And then you've got people who've done nothing, and I mean that with every sense of that sentence. People who have done nothing except for spend their time making it look like they've done something. And those are the ones that get the opportunities. Then an organization, you advance the clock, they look back at their team, their so-called team of talented people, because they've got a people department, talent acquisition. They acquired some talent, and they can't figure out why on earth did we not make our results. Maybe because you found the wrong people. And sometimes it's okay to admit you don't know how to find them, but it's not okay to just continue to do the same thing over and over again, but expect a different result. Every year, I guarantee you, an organization is going to come out with a list of goals. So if that is the case, why would you operate in the same way if some of the ways that you've operated have not proven to you that they can meet the new goals of the organization? Why would you do it? That's kind of silly to me. Every time an organization produces new goals, objectives, maybe has a merger, an acquisition, whatever it is, that HR team needs to be looking at, what do we need to do today? Forget the past. Forget what we've done in the past, and let's consider each idea. Now, we may bring something from the past into the present because we think that's a solution today that will work, but you don't have to grandfather it in. There's no such thing as grandfathering when you're trying to win. Every team, every department, their goal is to win a small aspect of what they do to help the organization as a whole win. That's what goals and objectives are. They're winning and losing. That's all it is. It is black and white in that sense. It's very, very clear. And it's just not okay to lose. It's just not okay to set yourself on a path to lose. It's not. And you've got to know what path that you've set yourself on as an individual, as a team, and as an organization. I guarantee you there are stockholders and stakeholders and executives and investors that expect each and every person that walks into the organization to set themselves on a path of winning. To do that, you've got to start with how you get your team together, how you wrangle that team. Use a good Texas term, how you wrangle that team. And that team can't be because they have a nice, pretty smile or because the person looked like the other people you hired over the past 20 years. Looks, unless you're in the modeling business, don't mean a whole lot. It is about production. It is about outcomes. So when you're hiring somebody and you're having that conversation, those are the things you look for. Outcomes. especially if you need the person to walk in the door and make an impact. Now, the other thing I'm going to say really quickly, if you're hiring for the potential, right, for the potential person, because that's a lot of times people do that, and that's A-okay. But if you're hiring for the potential, there's a large assumption, and that assumption, the word assumption, just picture it, the word assumption slapped across an elephant, a huge elephant in the room, okay? Here's your assumption. When you hire a person for the potential of what they may, give to the organization and what they may produce, there's an assumption that there's going to be opportunities for development that the organization is going to invest in. There's an assumption. So here's the deal. Here's what I find. Organizations hire, you've got individuals and hiring managers that hire a person for potential. However, the organization itself doesn't offer the support to really grow and develop the person. You see the failure there, right? You've got an organization that may only invest 5 hours a year for the development of an individual. But then you expect for them to magically develop. Now, I'm not saying that it's not on the individual to do it themselves. I mean, clearly, you know me. I'm all for the person taking their own initiative and investing in themselves. But if you're an organization and your strategy is to hire for the potential of a person, then you have to invest in getting them there. Or else it was silly to hire somebody for what they may become. Because I can tell you right now, if you're not investing in what they may become, it's the biggest gamble alive. You might as well take that money and play the lottery. You do a better job of that, of getting better outcomes. So you want to stack the deck. Sorry for all the gambling references, but if you want to stack the deck and really make your strategy make sense and kind of force it to produce good outcomes, if you're hiring for potential, you've got to invest in that potential. There has to be a real plan. If your organization does not have that plan in place, don't hire for potential. Period. It's a lose-lose. Everybody's frustrated. You're going to have high turnover in all of those roles because you did nothing once they got there. Okay? You did nothing. And that serves no one. Doesn't serve the organization, does not serve your industry. It serves no one. And certainly does not serve your customers and your bottom line. Okay, clearly this is a hot topic for me. But, there's one thing to have natural talent. It's another for someone to take their talent and really develop it. Those are the most prized possessions in the United States, is those people who have really advanced their natural skill and their natural aptitude to something far greater than they were naturally born with. You've got to have, again, this natural talent or skill. That's the entry fee. But people have to demonstrate what they've done with it, or else it is pointless. It is absolutely. How many singers do you know? People have natural talent and ability to sing, but they can't be some mega star because they haven't developed to that level. The entry fee is the natural skill, but the requirement when you're trying to find highly talented people is what they've done beyond there. And make sure it's real, okay? Advance your processes to make sure that you understand the true outcomes that people produce. Talk to those people. Force the industry and people out that are just scammers. They're just going to tell you that they've done stuff they really haven't. Force those people out and get those are like weeds, right? Get those out so you see the beautiful flowers of talent that are really in front of you. You would be amazed, by the way, when that happens, what your workforce winds up looking like. Gender, ethnicity, religious background, personal beliefs. You would be amazed. The idea of diversity then just becomes this beautiful bloom in front of you, not because you set out to hire women or a certain ethnicity, but because you set out to find talent. And when that happens, you're going to have a beautiful society within your organization and beyond. And again, you'd be amazed at the innovation that occurs when you really find those talented people. Okay, that's it. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to go so long, but it was just in me. Again, this was the talk about what's really going on with talent. I'll probably have some more. My name is Jennifer Tebow, and today is Thursday, May 30th, 2013. I will talk to you all very soon.